Good day, participants, and to my fellow researchers from all over the world. I am Jessica Taglino Verallo from the University of Mindanao Professional Schools, Davao City, Philippines. The title of our study is Change Orientation, Strategic Planning, and Teamwork, a structural equation model on readiness for organizational change in public elementary schools. With me is my co-author, Dr. Lyndon A. Quines. Organizational change in public elementary school often face resistance from teachers, especially when they are not ready and they tend to feel comfortable with the current way of doing things and may be reluctant to embrace new methods or practices. This rationale explores a complex relationship between change orientation, strategic planning, and teamwork on readiness for organizational change in public elementary schools. Change orientation as the foundation of connection, strategic planning as intervening mechanism, teamwork as the driving force, organizational change as the art and the science for the schools to be ready for change. The school This study is anchored on the theory of Lewin's three-stage model on organizational change, Cotter's 8-step model for leading change, and Mackenzie's 7S framework of Waterman. Specifically, this study aimed to determine the level of change orientation, level of strategic planning, level of teamwork, and level of organizational change in terms of their specific indicators. This study will also determine the relationship of the three exogenous variables to the organizational change, and this will also find the best fit model that predicts organizational change in public elementary schools. The figure shows the hypothesized model on the direct causal relationship of change orientation, strategic planning, and teamwork on readiness for organizational change in public elementary schools. This study utilized a descriptive correlational research design involving a total sample of 400 public elementary school teachers from 4 divisions of Region 12, namely General Santos City, Coronadal City, South Cotabato, and Sarangani during the school year 2024-2025. This descriptive and causal study employed statistical measures as mean, standard deviation, person-product moment correlation, and structural equation model. Thus, this study revealed the best fit model for identifying and addressing the various aspects of organizational change. Shown in the Table 1 is the level of change orientation with the following three indicators, which generated an overall mean of 4.64 with a standard deviation of 0.399 thousandths, described as very high. It implied that the overall indicators are very high, which means that the domain of change orientation is observed most of the time. Shown in the Table 2 is the level of empowerment of public elementary school teachers, which has three indicators that generated an overall mean of 4.60 with a standard deviation of 0.420 thousandths, interpreted as very high. The result further implies that the public elementary schools are highly empowered, which is observed most of the time. The Table 3 represents the level of teamwork of the public elementary schools with an overall mean of 4.57 with a standard deviation of 0.421, which is described as very high, showing high level of teamwork in terms of leadership, communication, and team structure. Table 4 showed an overall mean of 4.51 with a standard deviation of 0.465 are described as very high. Thus, the result further implies that the level of organizational change in public elementary schools is very high. Table 5 presents the significant relationship between change orientation and organizational change with the overall computed R value of 0.667 with a probability level of 0.00 at a 0.05 level of significance. It could be concluded that the null hypothesis is rejected. Therefore, there is a significant relationship between public elementary schools' change orientation and their organizational change. Table 6 presents the significant relationship between the levels of strategic planning and organizational change with an overall R value is 0.752 with a p-value of 0.00 that is lesser than 0.05. The null hypothesis is rejected. Thus, there is a significant relationship between strategic planning and organizational change. Shown in Table 7, the overall R value of 0.848 and a p-value of 0.00 that is lesser than 0.05. There is a significant relationship between teamwork and organizational change. Thus, the null hypothesis is rejected. All indicators of teamwork are correlated with organizational change. Table 9 presents the goodness of fit measures of the structural equation model 1. The p-close value is 0.00 is lower than 0.05 and the chi-square degrees of freedom value is 3.808. Moreover, the computed p-value is 0.00 is lower than 0.05. On the other hand, the goodness fit index has a computed value of 0.896 and the comparative fit index value has a computed value of 0.960 is higher than 0.95. Additionally, the norm fit index computed value is 0.947 is lesser than 0.95. In addition, the Tucker-Lewis index is 0.950 is the same with 0.95. Lastly, the root means square of error approximation value is 0.084 greater than 0.05. However, the generated structural equation model 1 is not the best fit model because it does not satisfy all the needed data. Table 6 presents the significant relationship between the levels of strategic planning and organizational change with an overall R value of 0.752 with a p-value of 0.00 that is lesser than 0.05. The null hypothesis is rejected. Thus, there is a significant relationship between strategic planning and organizational change. In summary, the Table 14 shows the goodness of fit measures of the three structural equation models. It could be gleaned that models 1 and 2 are not the best fit models that predict organizational change in the public elementary schools since it does not satisfy the criteria for the standard fit as a result of the structural equation modeling of data. Meanwhile, Model 3 is noted to have the p-close value of 0.863, indicating a good fit of measures. The chi-square degrees of freedom value is 1.426, which falls within the acceptable range, indicating a good relative fit. The p-value associated with chi-square degrees of freedom is 0.093, which is greater than 0.05. This suggests that Model 3 fits the data well. Based on the results, the three exogenous variables are all very high. Additionally, also these exogenous variables have significant relationship to organizational change. Hence, after analyzing the data and determining the best fit model that predicts organizational change using structural equation model, it has been found out that Model 3 satisfied all the requirements, making it the most fitted model. Based on the results of the study, it is recommended the Department of Education may take the initiative to develop mechanisms that will help the school manage organizational change. They may create transition policies, plans, and programs that will be adopted in case there are organizational change. For the school administrators, they may expose and include teachers in all strategic planning. Training seminars may also be included in relation to coping organizational change. For teachers, they may continue to become proactive in any changes introduced in organization. For future researchers who wish to conduct a study on the predictors of organizational change, they may use this study as one of their references. The following are our references. In closing, let me share to you the famous quote of Charles Darwin. It is not the most intellectual of the species that survives. It is not the strongest that survives, but a species that is able to adapt and adjust to the changing environment in which it finds itself. Thank you and good day to everyone.